So that is SuperCore, and let me show you the last thing, the phase sequencer. I almost forgot. All right, what is the phase sequencer? Well, the phase sequencer is an ARP. It's a transgate. It's a pattern generator. It's all kinds of things. You can play different patterns, different sequences. You can save your patterns. You can actually, you have up to 64 patterns. You can load them, save them. So I mean, it's really very powerful. You have your zooming tools. That's zooming in and out on the horizontal, and this is zooming in and out on the vertical. I mean, you can see it. And then these are your up-down buttons, okay, and left-right buttons. You're just navigating. These are navigation tools. Okay, and here you have the way your sync. So this is the type of sync, the sequence number, the sequence recording. You can actually record either step, or you can use your keyboard to record your patterns, or you can just simply enter notes. Entering notes is really easy. You just click and put them there. If you click on a note after it's there, you can put its velocity information. You can put the amount of gate, the channel, the MIDI channel, and which output it goes to out of 8. Or you can delete it, or you can get out. And by the way, I want to let you know that's left clicking. All menus are left click. They're not right click, which is really weird, but that's the way. These are Chris Carey modules, and that's the way he does it. He does left click. I think that's because in Synthetic, right click is, you're always going to get the about if you right click, so you really can't use it. Anyway, you have your sequencer start. That's what sequence number you're going to start on. You have your sequencer end pattern. Essentially what this is starting in grid square 1. This is ending in grid square 16. You can go up to 64, I believe. Let me see. You just go backwards and it'll cycle through. Yeah, 64. That's what I thought. So right now I have 16 grid squares. So this is grid square 1. Oops. This is grid square 16. Okay? And again, if I wanted more squares, I just simply zoom in, and I can have all my little grid squares. Yes, it gets kind of small, but you can make it very big and then just move sideways. See what I'm doing here? And then I can just move sideways and look at my pattern. And then if I just want to see the whole pattern, I can just zoom out, and eventually I see the whole pattern. Alright, then to go on, here's your pattern number, sequence pattern number. Your pulse divisor is how fast or slow your actual... this goes by the tempo of your host, but you can either slow down or speed up the phrase sequencer that way. And then you also have like steps, so you can skip every third note or every fifth note. Right now it's not set to skip anything. Your play mode, this is very ARP-like. You can go forward, backward, forward, back, forward, random, forward, backward 2, which backward and forward 2. I don't know what the 2 and I don't know how that differs, but and then you have back to forward. You have harmony. This is kind of like humanization. I mean, this is kind of like you don't want it to be perfect, so it will automatically play the phrase sequencer slightly out of time on purpose. All right. You have your sequencer temporal shift. You can actually shift it in time a little bit before after. You can use that, for example, if you want to do something syncopated. And then finally your gate. This is really very, very advantageous because this is where you define how slow or fast the actual sound plays. So, and then you can transpose. You can actually transpose everything. Right now it's on the key of C3, and your resting note is C3. You'll see sequencer resting note, sequencer root note, and then your output is right now set to pattern, but it could be 2, 1, 2. It could be any of the 8 outputs. Finally, in order to use it, you have to turn it on. But right now, if you turn it on, you're not going to hear anything. Oh, by the way, you'll see that little square. Why aren't you hearing anything? Well, that's because I set all these notes to MIDI channels 3 and 4. So I'm going to set this layer to 3, and these 2 layers to 4. Okay. Now, what that means is these 3 layers are now playing across the keyboard with no problem. But you're not hearing the other stuff. You're not hearing the bass, or you're not hearing the drums. So we're going to turn on the sequencer. And you'll notice that I actually played with a gate so that you could. Now, some of the notes, I actually defined the gate. I hard defined them. Namely, I went into the actual note. I'll show you. Let me stop it for a second. Alright, like I went to this note, and you'll see the gate here. I put the gate at 300. If you want almost no gate, you put it at 1. That's a very short, abrupt note. And if you want the whole note to play completely, you can go as high as 1600. Right, and that gives you the whole note. And so you can hardwire. That way I can have some of the notes playing with the gate and some are hardwired, the way I want them to. So again, I have this simple little, and just to define just so you can see the pulse divider. I've slowed it down. And now I'm going to speed it up. So I'll set it through there. And if I was to do the steps, you would see it actually skip. See how it's skipping? It's not playing every note. And it also speeds up. Also, let me show you some of the sounds before I go. I'm going to click on load. I'm going to drag the thing in here. And I want you to see that we have bass. Those are bass sounds. Bells. Those are your bell sounds. We have effects, keys, leads, pads, percussion, and synth. So your bass, here's your bass sounds, and you have quite a few nice basses. Okay. And then under bells, and you have a whole bunch of bell sounds. I like Poseidon's bell. That's a pretty cool sound. And then you have effects. You have a few effects here. I may add a few more effects, about the only thing I really want to add. Here's your keys. You have a very nice selection of keyboard and piano sounds. You have lead sounds. Okay, these are your leads, what you do like solos with. You have quite a few really good lead sounds. And then you have a whole bunch of pads. I love pads. So here's, you have everything from strings and brass to analog and, woodwinds and digital, like digiwaves and bell pads and bottle pads and all kinds of different pads. And then you have percussion. You have a nice selection here of everything from kicks and Asian influences to large-scale drums and orchestral drums to just a couple of standard actual drum kits. And the reason we included the drum kits is so that you can use that with the phrase sequencer to actually do drum stuff. And then finally, synth is a whole bunch of synth sounds. Alright, so that is your SuperCore library. And it is right around 5.3, 5.4 gigs. And I may add a few more effects, and so it'll probably be right around 5.5 gigs when done. Those will all be compressed, and you'll be able to download them per category.